Hi, good evening, and thank you for some of your time this evening. My name is Nathan Jensen, and I'm really excited to share with you some thoughts on an investment proposal around baby clothes rental, or BCR Inc., as our team refers to it. BCR Inc. is a culmination of a lot of hard work that we've put into not just understand the market and some of the moving pieces in the retail space, but as we've worked to understand what the online space is doing and really understand kind of some of these subscription models out there, in particular in the apparel industry. We've focused on a niche we believe in the baby clothing market, and we'll walk through some of the reasons and ideas of how we focused on this and where we believe the growth opportunity is. And we're really excited. We believe that this investment is a great way to play into the market as it moves towards online shopping, and in particular online subscriptions. There's a lot of attention now to online subscriptions, whether that be Netflix or Amazon Prime or other folks that are spending dollars or shifting their spending habits online. We believe that in particular baby clothing, and in this case baby clothing rental, is a service that is out there. There's a need. We've done some market research and surveying that will share some results of that with you, and why we believe this is an investment that can not just perform in the short term, but we believe that with your investment dollars is something that we can further scale and really create something, an asset that we believe will be a very desirable acquisition target as we continue to grow, achieve profitability, and hit the milestones that we'll outline for you this evening. We'll start this evening by walking through what the market opportunities for BCR Inc. look like. Spend a couple minutes there and then transition to really understanding the strategy. We'll begin with the competitive positioning, where we believe BCR fits in the existing and sort of future market as online shifting is quickly growing, continuing to grow. We'll look at strategic positioning of where we believe this asset or business can continue to grow and expand. We'll spend just a few moments looking at the management team and the structure that we believe we need to be successful as we grow this organization and launch BCR in this coming year. We'll then conclude with going through some of the financial components, walking through the financials and where we believe the opportunity lies, and specifically why we're seeking an investment of $350,000 for an initial funding round, and what we will do with that in terms of where it will be used to fund growth, to fund capital needs, and to ultimately get this company scaled to where we believe it can be profitable on its own. And ultimately, within a time period, as we'll share with you, where it can be used to help us propel us towards an exit strategy, which we believe at this time to be an acquisition of a larger company that will seek us out. The idea behind BCR Inc. is that we want to put the consumer in control over where they want to shift and spend their dollars. In this case, we believe, this ties in with our value proposition, is that there's a challenge out there currently in the marketplace where if you want to purchase baby clothing, in fact, the majority, as you'll see in a second here, almost all of that clothing is purchased at a retail store. And so we believe that there is a value proposition of being able to save the consumer both time and money from having to go to the store and hunt for what they need by providing an on-demand service to ship the baby clothing right to their home. That may be for an individual, and you'll see our target market, an individual millennial or a couple that have a newborn baby. This also may be an attractive purchase for a parent or a grandparent in this case, or a neighbor or a friend that's struggling with what type of baby clothing to get for a friend or loved one that recently had a child. And this subscription model will give them greater choices over maybe sizes if they're not sure there, or the on-demand availability of, hey, just get what you want. And that flexibility, we believe, is currently not available to consumers, and we're prepared to offer it. The retail space continues to struggle. It's actually shrunk almost 2% over the last 5 years. As you see here, it's projected to fall another 3.7% over the next subsequent 5-year period. They're struggling to adapt, and especially what's happening is more and more consumers are shifting online just simply for the fact of it can save time, convenience, and in many cases, in most cases, consumers can now go online and buy what they used to have to go to the stores to get. And so we believe we focused our strategy and our whole process on how can we provide what we think consumers are looking for in an online format, in this case in a subscription model that meets their needs. BCR service will be available nationwide to customers in the continental United States upon launch in 2018. Service will be targeted towards married couples in the age range of 20 to 30 years old who've recently had a newborn child. This demographic is comfortable using technology, is certainly looking for flexibility and convenience, in particular those that have recently had a child that maybe don't want to leave the house and that are looking for a wide variety or selection of clothing styles, possibly sizes that are adjusting quickly as their infant or newborn is growing, and are looking for that on-demand convenience or affordability. As you'll see, we've identified 4 sort of key market forces that we believe are in play that bode well to what our model looks like. Those 4, certainly we know that the retail environment is struggling. We see that with other competitors and those that are going out of business or struggling to prop up their same-store sales year over year as everything shifts online. We've spoken and further supported the idea behind on-demand convenience, where folks don't want to leave the house if they don't have to, but more than anything are looking for quick, fast responses to meet their needs. And if they can do that from home without going to the shopping mall, all the better. Shared capacity, customers we believe are much more comfortable now today with a subscription-based model where we're able to obviously rent out clothing, bring it back into our warehouse, clean it and reuse it. At some point prior, maybe that wasn't as popular, but with models like Airbnb or Uber out there, certainly that shared capacity or that shared service model has garnered attention within the market. And then lastly, the affordability component. This is critical for us. We believe that by sharing and being able to purchase a wide variety of clothing and being able to reuse it multiple times, it will help us keep our costs down, but more importantly, we can pass that savings on to the consumer. As the graph indicates, over 90% of children's and infant clothing spending is performed in 2016 in a retail environment, with less than 10% of that being done online and less than 1% of that spend is actually happening in a subscription market. We believe and we understand more and more spending is shifting online, and we believe there's a ripe opportunity for us to be able to capture some market share as it does and appeal towards those that are looking for a subscription model at a very attractive price point. We prepared a SWOT analysis as we worked to understand what our competitors were doing in the space and figure out ways that we believe we could gain a competitive advantage through our model. First, we looked at our strengths and we believe that pricing and affordability is key. We can gain that through purchasing clothing at wholesale prices and renting it out on a recurring subscription model to our consumers. Certainly a weakness that we identified is the unproven market potential. As you just saw, it is less than 1% of the current spend on the apparel industry, the baby apparel industry, and so it is a limited, untapped market that could go and certainly grow, but there's a risk. We believe along with that risk, there's a great opportunity because we understand that consumers are shifting towards e-commerce, they're comfortable with it, and they're looking for the price point and certainly the convenience of being able to shop anywhere at any time to get what they need. Along with that, obviously, we are aware that other competitors are looking at possibly entering into the space, and that could be, as we'll see later, existing competitors that are large and startup companies such as us that are looking to capitalize on this growth. We took a look at both direct and indirect competitors to understand what they're trying to do, similarities, differences, and areas that we think that maybe they weren't able to capitalize in the best way to grow, that we could differentiate ourselves. There are some existing startups out there. Most are very small. They've received some seed capital, and there's actually quite a few that have come and gone for various reasons, and it's hard to understand exactly why at that size without scaling, why they chose to give up, but we believe it was lack of funding to actually get where they wanted to go. So that includes competitors currently out there such as Fitted Tot, Kidbox, and Fab Kids that are offering kids clothing subscription or children's clothing subscriptions. It's an important distinction that they are not focused exclusively on baby clothing, but more on really kids through the toddler and into the elementary school aged kids to outfit them. Obviously, there's existing competitors that have got a long runway and a long history in the retail space, and in Amazon's case, a long history, a successful history in the online space. And so we believe that certainly Baby Gap or Macy's, Gymboree, and definitely Amazon may look to a model like this if they find it appealing and feel like there's an opportunity to capitalize. So based on the market's research, we believe there's an opportunity that has not been tapped that we believe we can enter into. We look then to figure out, okay, well, what would our strategic positioning be that can generate a sustainable and certainly a model that we can scale to grow. We looked at a few key components. We looked at obviously our subscription model. We believe that's certainly the way to go because it will allow us to offer a wide variety of selections and certainly sizes. We have emphasized tonight the on-demand convenience that cannot be understated. Being able to provide instant on-demand ordering, customer interaction, and a payment model. And then lastly, we've also discussed pricing and why we believe that an attractive price point will allow folks to take a chance on us and use our service and hopefully refer to friends, family, and others. There's a $10 billion annual baby clothing market out there, and as we showed, less than 1% of that is focused on online clothing rental services. We did some market research. 87% out of the 100 parents we surveyed, they had a favorable or a positive to neutral view of using an online clothing subscription service. I'd like to introduce our management team to you. Brian Ho will serve as the company's CEO. Brian has extensive experience managing a large clothing retailer and will help us with our strategic vision and our focus. I'll serve as the comptroller. I have experience working in both private equity and venture-backed startup environments and will help with not just the day-to-day financials, but the fundraise and the targeted goals we're hoping to hit. Emil will bring the operational and logistics skill set to help us as we work with our supply chain and order fulfillment process. Lastly, both Michael and Jenny will combine to focus on our sales and marketing, our online branding, our reputation management, and how we'll continue to grow and achieve success. I'd like to begin the financial overview by giving you a little more detail on our revenue model. We'll start with a $60 subscription initially. This includes 2 clothing items out per time per subscriber that can be interchanged for different sizes, styles, or whatever that may be. Within the first year, we're targeting 1,000 concurrent subscribers. This is a key metric. We'll continue to focus not just on concurrent or active subscribers, but how long they're also staying. Based on the market research we did, we believe an average customer will stay approximately 8 months. As they stay longer, certainly our acquisition costs and profitability continue to be enhanced and grow. If they stay less, then we'll have an issue of trying to figure out how to get profitability out of customers that just don't seem to use our service for very long. Based on the surveys that we did and the assessments, we feel comfortable with 8 months. Within the first year, we believe we'll have an annual monthly run rate of $700,000, and that will help us as we grow to scale and cover our expenses and become profitable. Initially, we're targeting to be profitable by the third quarter of 2019, within the second year of our operations. Part of our value proposition involves 2 unique competitive advantages we believe we have over existing platforms. To remind you, those include not just our wide selection of products or clothing styles, but also the on-demand availability that we will provide to our subscribers. Outlining here on the financials some risks and upsides, I'd like to touch on a couple points. One includes sourcing our clothing products. Initially, we considered manufacturing or producing our own clothing, and we realized very quickly that was just not financially achievable based upon the startup phase that our company's in. Thus, we're working with existing manufacturers to procure clothing that we can then rent out to our subscribers. This is really important, and we had a lot of discussions about how to do this the right way. From an ethical and safety standpoint, it's very important to us that we vet and get references on existing suppliers and manufacturers to make sure that the clothing that we are sourcing and using for our business is not just produced in an ethical factory, but places where there are safety standards and in compliance with not just government regulations, but within our own mindset and our business model of how we want things to be done. To touch on 2 other points, I mentioned earlier the customer subscription term. This ties in closely with customer acquisition costs. If a customer stays approximately 8 months or longer, they generate quite a high contribution margin or profitability for us. If they stay less than that, only a couple months for instance, it's hard for us to gain much profitability based on the amount of money we spent to acquire them. There is one upside I want to share. Gift subscriptions. We believe that there's a market, absolutely a strong market for friends, loved ones, parents, neighbors, someone that may not themselves be having a new baby in their family, but they know someone that is. Our model will allow them to purchase a gift subscription for that loved one or friend to try out our service, which hopefully will generate a long-term customer. We are targeting an initial investment from your group of $350,000. This will be used to provide working capital and scale our business, including our initial capital expenditures and the money that we feel like we need in order to get the company to profitability by the second year of operations. I'd like to summarize the investment opportunity for you. Let's start with the ask. We're seeking a $350,000 investment for a 49% equity stake in BCR Inc. With your investment dollars and your support, we will create a scalable, subscription-based model that becomes the market leader in baby clothing rentals. We believe this market has yet to be tapped, and that as more people are looking for not just convenience and availability and affordability, there's a shifting taking place where people are going online for their clothing needs, especially for baby clothing needs. In return for your investment dollars, we're committed to developing a platform and a business that is profitable within 2 years, that has 10,000 concurrent subscribers, that also has a proprietary website platform where we can not just interchange transactions, discuss and have customer service take place, but we believe that we'll have a platform and a model that is something that will be a desirable target in the apparel space, in particular in the baby clothing space, as more of this spend shifts online. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to answering any questions that you might have about this opportunity.